Hello, welcome back to my platform development video series. So, I have now determined that Substack is the platform that I want to use. I'm happy, I'm giddy, I'm ready to get into this. But what I need you to know is this. This is where you need to start taking out your pens, pencils, notes, and notebook paper because I'm about to give you some tips on development of a platform. Okay? Number one, if you're going to develop a platform, what do you need the platform for and why do you need it? I've already determined that I'm in multiple different places and I need to bring all of my content together in one place. Great. Substack brings me all of the things that I need in one location. Great. Awesome. But I have to understand how the platform operates. It's not a YouTube, which means I can put video on it, but it's not like it's just going to be sitting there. Now, grant you, due to the fact that I can create posts in relation to it, but you have to understand that your posts are not just posts. Think about a Facebook group, or think about your YouTube that now has the community post section. It's not that. When you create a post, you're sending out a newsletter. Catch 22 to this, that your newsletter, once it's sent out, meaning anybody that comes to the newsletter after you sent the newsletter out is gone nowhere. Meaning, if you have 90 followers but nobody subscribed, your newsletter didn't go to nobody. That's number one. Two, you got to develop a way to reach your people. Three, you've got to understand what is it that the people that you have been developing content for are really interested in. Four, you got to develop a plan on how to execute the development of the platform so that it can get the most use out of that platform. So what did I do? After now discovering, I got Substack, now I can do whatever I want. Woo! I sat my pretty little behind down in this wonderful chair you see me sitting in, and I wrote out a plan. I understood I have multiple streams of content in multiple places. I want to consolidate that content into one location. Great. How do I do that? I sat down and looked at my content. I went through and I looked at analytics. I looked at reach. I went through my meta business information. I went through content, all of this type of stuff. What was most being interacted with? What did people like the most? Which had the highest rating? Which had the lowest rating? Did you know what's so great? Several months ago, I believe it was about 9 months to a year ago, I sat down and did this already with my podcast. It was already done because I had already had a formula that I was desiring to do with my podcast. Had this incident with the podcast development switch hadn't happened and the ownership changed. I was planning to run a new campaign on the original podcast. Now I gotta move all that stuff to one. If y'all have seen the video where I talk about pivot, this is what needed to happen. Catch 22, you got to shift. There's another great thing about how this Substack works. When you create a podcast, you have the ability to move all your followers to the Substack. Meaning, if your podcast is on the Substack, you can grab the followers and move them there too. Ding, 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 ding. Happy. So, I'm like, we got to get this in order. So I got my Pinterest, my LinkedIn, and I had just played around with LinkedIn for 8 to 12 weeks, and I was getting major impressions over there. Did a run, just recently did another run set. So I'm like, let's get this in order. Substack, guess what you can do? When you're creating your account, you can put your LinkedIn information in there too. I can put my LinkedIn, my YouTube, my Pinterest, my all of it all at once. Matter of fact, actually, once you create your account, there's a list that you can go down in the back office that you can link all of these things in there. I'm hearing angels sing now. I'm like, oh my God, this is all I needed. Oh my God, I've been waiting for this forever. This is what I wanted. And it's free. I'm going to backtrack for 5 seconds though and talk about the platform that I used to be involved in. There was a platform for 3 years that it was free. Okay? I developed an entire application on there. Created, developed, lined it up, aligned it, separated it, developed it, so on and so forth. I'm like, oh my God. I have my entire application, built it out and everything. I was about to start running that on my other channel because that's where my follower base is and that's where they would want it. And they went from free to paid. And it's like, we get rid of all the freemium services. So now you're going to have to pay $500. I said, excuse me? So my application got lost in the sauce in that time frame. And I'm like, I still had the template though, because remember, I recorded a video. So what I'm needing to do is I need to change the format for the development of what I was trying to do over there for this platform. So I sat down and I recorded content or wrote down my content development strategy. I came to the realization because I was at a point, and I'm going to say it like this. I love how God works. He sends me to people I need to hear what I need to hear at the right time. Remember, I like to follow Jade Benson. Jade Benson did a wonderful video where she talked about her 6-month plan that brought her into a point where she was able to quit her job. I sat down and I listened to everything that she did and realized I've been doing this over the past 12 years. I just hadn't set it up correctly. So I sat down and listened to what she said, sat down and realized what I was doing, sat down and looked at the content development of what it was that I wanted to develop with this Substack, and I said, I'm going to create a plan. Got it. Sat down, developed my write-up, developed step-by-step execution plan. Okay? Realize, boom, this is this. This is this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Here's the drawback. Are you ready? I'm going to be able to explain this within the next couple of minutes. What the drawback was simply that first thing, I'm ready, I'm excited, boom, we ready to go. Get on the platform. How do I set up my background color scheme, so on and so forth? You go on YouTube, you can't really find information. They're not really telling you details on how these certain very basic things should be done. I actually had to ask the system through ask a question, how do I change my colors? How do I create sections? How do I create pages to divide my sections so that I have to ask the system, because I couldn't find a YouTube video on it. I couldn't find a YouTube video. It would talk about something else, but it never talked about them little details. There are some YouTubers that'll give you the little details. There are other YouTubers that are like, I'm going to just give you an overview. And I'm missing those little elements. I want to create an autoresponder. Now, there is a video that's an hour long that talked about the development of the platform and this, that, and other, which allowed me the ability to know I can, let me go in here, write out my welcome letter. Boom, got that. Went in there, I changed my colors. Boom, got that. I create page sections. Okay, let me develop those page sections so that it's already prepped out and that information is out there. Boom, got that. The delay in it was the fact that there's little tiffs of things that, okay, by developing these sections, now I've separated the content and came to the realization, ooh, if I do this in the order that I'm thinking by batching content letters, this is about this subject, this is about this subject, this is about this subject, it will do a run, but it may not run in a dependable order. You ever see people do orders where I'm going to do 2 of these a week. I'm going to do 1 a week. But because I've divided into 6 sections or however many sections, I got my podcast, I got this, I have to consolidate because I'm coming to the realization, oh, I can talk about this because this podcast deals with this, then this Substack can be, and I can bring the 2 of these together. And I literally had the thought this morning, I could have brought that into one instead of doing 2 separate lines for that. Why did I do that? I should have done XYZ, but didn't come to the realization that I could have consolidated. Instead of having 6 different streams, it would have been 3, and then I could have had the podcast for the 3 podcasts attached to those 3, but it didn't dawn on me. Certain things you're going to realize as you're going. So I'm going to come back for the next point.